Now, recently there have been a couple of videos that have come out about Genshin Impact, and they have been on and from a more negative standpoint. The reason why I am making this video, and I know I'm a little bit late to it, to be honest, there's been a lot of housework happening, renovations and all, and also just generally, I wanted to get a little bit more coherent with my thoughts when it came to these two videos, because frankly speaking, I feel like everybody has their right to share a viewpoint, right? I think you can be positive or negative. You are allowed to have an opinion about anything, especially a game you are playing for a very long time. If you're a day one player, you've been playing since day one, any game, Final Fantasy 14, Genshin, HSR, Digimon, the titles from the very beginning, you've been playing since Digimon World to obviously the newest one. Absolutely fair to have an opinion about the direction, the games or the franchise is going in. Now, these videos were from two content creators who just made a video from out of nowhere, right? So this is the first one, came out 2 months ago, right after the first Genshin teaser for Snezhnaya, and it was saying Genshin will never get better and Snezhnaya is doomed. Okay, fair enough. I watched this video when I was watching Bran Online. Big shout outs to him. Great guy, great Genshin creator, very much heavy into lore as well. So if you're interested in lore, go check him out. He was watching it, so I watched the video he was watching on YouTube. And fair enough, some of the points made were fair. Of course, gameplay-wise, events-wise, I can agree with them in some capacity. In other capacities, probably not. You know what? This video, I think, was completely fair, and I think a lot of the community we're agreeing with it in some ways disagreeing with it. It was very civil. This video, very civil, completely fine. Okay, the second video that came out just 2 weeks ago only started kicking up and going about the social platforms in the last week, quite literally. I think ever since Brand reacted to it, it's just been blown up, and it's going haywire everywhere. Everybody's watching it. It's this one. Was Genshin always this weird and bad? Now, the first thing I want to say is, to be honest, as a creator, right? I like having more positive content. When I critique a video, I'll critique it, but I'll also share what I think is positive as well at the same time. Because you always have to, you're playing a game, right? You're playing a game for your enjoyment. If there is nothing there for you to enjoy, why are you playing it? It's a very and it could be down to sunk cost fallacy in that situation, right? There's a lot of time invested into the game and you don't want to just leave it because of that. But I feel like, especially as a creator, right, you have two people whose first videos are talking negative about a game. I feel like as a person, you have to look at yourself a little bit and say, like, why be so negative off rip? And I know a lot of people have accused both creators, or both individuals, I should say, because they've not created anything since they first dropped those videos, which is ringing more alarm bells and red flags. But like I said, giving them the benefit of the doubt, a lot of people have said that, these two creators have just made it to just make hit pieces about Genshin Impact. And I know some people have said that they've been paid off by Kuro and whatnot. I think that's a lot of baloney, to be honest. But I do question why come straight away with negative ill intent in your first video, But I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. In this video, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, because if they are coming with good intent, in the sense it's positive intent, they just want the game to be better, they want the game to be the way they perceive it to be, or they perceive it should be, I should say, I understand their sentiment to an extent. Because this game is nearly 6 years old. I'm here in Genshin right now, in-game, at one of my favorite locations, because this is where it all began 6 years ago, or nearly 6 years ago now, right? And since then, I've personally been playing this game day in and day out. Will I ever say I had burnout? Absolutely. I did have burnout at points. Everybody does. Because let's be real, you're going to struggle to play this game day in and day out. There's a reason why so many people don't play Genshin on a daily basis as well, because it's not something, in my opinion, you should play daily. Honestly, I think if you are wanting to play casually, that's absolutely fine as well. And I think most people, the average person should play this game on a more casual and a more chill basis. For me, I enjoy coming in. Nowadays, I feel like I enjoy coming on to Genshin day in, day out, because it's become slowly but surely like it's one of my favorite games. And I think it's because I've just grown so attached to the world, the story, the characters, more so than anything else. And I think that's the reason why it's getting up there. But that's besides the point. My point being is that people can find burnout in these 6 years, right? People can find burnout. They can be a little fatigued, a little bit disillusioned with the game, right? And a lot of the problems a lot of people have been having with these two videos in particular, right? If we go back to, not this one had it a little bit, but this one in particular had a lot of critique about its characters, its design choices, and so on and so forth. In regards to mainly the characters, I would say. Obviously, there was a little bit about the story in both videos. I feel like both were wrong in some way, shape, or form. A lot of it about not getting any answers and stuff like that, whereas I disagree. I think Nordcry gave us a lot of answers, and so did the subsequent expansions, of course, with the Temple of Space and the Moon. We got so many answers from it as well. Of course, we did get some more questions. There's no denying that, absolutely. But they are like sort of follow-up questions, right? They're not necessarily like added on questions. It's like, oh, we got the answer to this, but now we need to know, okay, what happened then, kind of thing. It's more of that sort of questions, more so than anything else, I would say. But the point being is, a lot of the critique they made was about that. It was about the character designs and so on and so forth, right? And I feel like Genshin's always going to get a little bit of stick because of this, right? You look at Genshin compared to like an Avengers or Harry Potter, the film series is particularly, I'm not talking about the books, because when you look at Genshin Impact, it's a blank slate. Actually, let's take a look at the games, other games, for example, other gacha games, right? We'll take a look at other IP-based gacha games, Fate Grand Order and Dragon Ball Legends, hypothetically, right? Let's take a look at those two games, right? They can work because they already have a precedent set by either previous iterations in the franchise, and or they're using characters from the franchise who we already know about in some way, shape, or form. Whereas with Genshin, you have a lot of characters who are just blank slates when they come out first. The previews only give you like a blurb, and that's about it, right? 3 paragraphs at most usually, right? When you look at the social posts, the drip marketing, whatever it may be, 3 paragraphs, that's it, right? And that's all we get going into the next patch when we, look at a character, or when we're looking at a preview and then going into the next region or whatever, we only get that little bit of information, right? And that causes obviously a lot of people to headcanon. And I think headcanoning is fine, right? Is that a word? Headcanoning? I think headcanoning is a word. Headcanoning is fine. Basically, if you don't know what headcanon is, a headcanon is basically where an individual makes up their mind on how a character is and their story and everything. They know everything about the character, and that's what they think is how the character should be like, right? That is what a headcanon is. I've said that word way too many times now, so I'm going to stop saying it. So a lot of people have their perception about how a character should be, right? Because of how Genshin portrays their characters initially, right? You get them in the Archon quest more often than not. Then you get their character story quest when they release as a character. And then obviously they start expanding more and more. They start evolving more and more via events and, other world quests and so on and so forth, right? That always ends up happening, right? They're evolving characters. They slowly evolve over time. But the biggest culprit, and I think the one that I think causes a lot of problems across the community, I'm not talking about the videos in particular here, it is the Winter Nights Lazo trailer. I think that one is the biggest culprit because so many people, including in this very video that I'm talking about, the Was Genshin Always This Weird and Bad video, there as well, the biggest problem I think a lot of people had regarding Columbina is when in Winter Nights Lazo, she is singing a lullaby. It's quite a haunting lullaby, you could say, right? And it makes sense. It's a haunting lullaby because obviously it's during the funeral of La Signora Rosaline. And when we come to Nordcry, it's a completely different character, you could say. If you perceived it in that sense that, oh, she's singing a haunting lullaby, that must mean she might be a little bit demented. She might be a little bit crazy. That's what people thought, right? And we come to Not Cry, and she's a little bit ditzy, a little bit dim-witted, you could say, in the sense of lack of social awareness and so on and so forth, but otherwise very normal, right? Otherwise very normal. And that is the difference in perception. And a lot of people found it very jarring. And this creator, in this case, Candybbug, kind of doubles down on that with so many characters, right? She had to say a lot about Mawika, how she was a Mary Sue, she didn't make any sense, yada, yada, yada. Then she went on to say Navia was wearing slutty clothing and whatnot, and then Linnea has a fetish based on the trailer. I mean, a lot of it was based on also not in-game content, to be honest. A lot of it was just based on trailer footage, cutscenes that were available only on YouTube, and then she said she's not a lore person. And that gave all of it away. That pretty much said everything about her that we needed to know, about them that we needed to know. They haven't played the game enough or fully to actually understand these characters. You are absolutely within your rights to judge a character if you have actually experienced all of their story. And this is not what this creator did. This is not what this creator did. All they did was just base it off some trailers and some stuff, some promotional material, and that's about it. That's all they did. And that's where the problems begin. Because for me, you are, as I said at the start, you are well within your rights to give an opinion about any sort of media that you enjoy or you don't enjoy, as long as it is fair and critical and makes sense. If your points make sense, by all means, go for it. When you start making mistakes in actually saying the wrong thing, right? For example, you say that, oh, Linnea has a fetish, for example, but in the next sentence, you start glazing Lohan as if he's not problematic as well. Like, come on. Like, if you take a look at Lohan in real life, you'd be questioning that dude like hell, because brother was spiking people's drinks. He's a perpetual liar. Seriously? Like seriously? Are we seriously saying that this guy is good? I don't think so. So for me personally, I feel like these videos were more on the wrong side of things. I feel like they could have been done better. Like, okay, you know what? I'm going to do a quick round. Critiquing Genshin, and I'm also going to say what I love about Genshin, right? So first and foremost, let's take a look in game, right? First and foremost, resin system. I feel like this is, in my personal opinion, for me, I think this is the most problematic one out of anything else, right? Why are we at 200 for one? And why don't we have like an overflow system like how we have an HSR? I feel like this would help solve so many issues, and this I think is the most critical one that I feel like they need to address, even more than the skip button. For me, the skip button is much more lower priority, but I think this is what they need to fix more so than anything else going into Snezhnaya. Will they? I doubt it, because it's been 6 years. I don't see this getting fixed, to be honest. I don't see this getting fixed at all. But is it something I want to see fixed? Absolutely. For me, the critical points in Genshin are all quality of life features. You could say artifact loadout as well, right? If we go to characters, why don't we have an artifact loadout? Can we get that, please? Thank you very much. I know they kind of introduced it in some way, but it's still not good enough. You know, the way they've done it is not fantastic, and I wish they would add a better system for said loadout, right? Then you could say the skip button, for example. That's also one, right? Absolutely. I think that's something that I would love to see, be introduced. Domains. Can I access them on a daily basis? Not this one. This one, for example, right? Changes daily. Why? I mean, again, when I say they do half-hearted, fixes, these aren't daily when a new character comes out. When it's the start of phase 1 and the start of phase 2 in a patch, for that 1 week, every domain is open. All of it is open for dailies. It's crazy. All the dailies are open. It's unbelievable. And that's my problem with Genshin. A lot of these fixes are half-assed. Now, you could say that it's just like, oh, we're not going to give you everything. We're going to give you some of the fixes, but we're not going to give you everything because we want you to come and lock into the game. trust me, Genshin, people will still log into the game even if you do make it completely open. These things especially, and also the resin. 100%. Trust me, you do not have to worry about anything of that sort, right? So that sort of thing is, I think, where I have a little bit of a problem with Genshin Impact when it comes to those quality of life features, those improvements and changes, right? I mean, even HSR has introduced a way to make their weapons or their light cones fully, you can go from level 1 to level 90 immediately. Same thing with characters as well. That would be something nice I would love to see be added to Genshin Impact. So those sort of points, I think, are completely fine to address, right? Because those are actual issues in the game. And you can also talk about the story as well. I will say this, right? You can also talk a little bit more critically about the story. For example, I feel like when we finished off the Irminsul story in version 6.6, I almost forgot the version we finished it in. When we finished it in version 6.6, I came out feeling that the ending was a little bit anticlimactic. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I mean, it was fantastic, of course, right? The entire story of how the Irminsul was burnt and everything, the Torre and all that sort of jazz. I should have probably said spoiler alert, but come on, it's been a whole patch now. Ooh, that's actually a nice image. Irminsul with Celestia behind. Oh, that's nice. I'm getting distracted. But I felt it was a little bit anticlimactic. I felt like the lead up was fantastic. I feel like the planning and everything was brilliantly done. But the finale could have been done better, in my opinion. And I think they could have it could have been done better in the sense it could have been dragged out a bit. Again, a critical point I have made, but I'm still being fair to them as well. I'm being a bit negative, you could say. It is a negative point about the story. Most people enjoyed it, I'd say. But it's fairly done, right? Because that's how it was. It makes sense. I experienced it, so I have a way of seeing it, and I have a right in saying it, right? When you experience a story of a character, like Lohan, for example, right? I have to go to Character Archive because I don't have him. I wish he was standard. It would have been nice if he was standard, but he's not. When we talk about a character like Lohan, I think he's flawed as hell. I think he's a bit of a douchebag, to be quite honest. But when you go through his story, you understand why he's the way he is. It's completely fair. You know, the way Dottore, made him effectively, you could say. And that other guy, I completely forgot his name. Jesus Christ. The guy who was in cahoots with Dottore. Those two made Lohan the way he is, you could say, right? Some of it is a bit extra, and that's just Lohan being Lohan. But you get the point, right? You get the whole point of what I'm saying at this point in time, right? So for me, when you are going to be critical about a video, right? When you're going to be as critical as you were about a video, right? Do not make the mistake of being critical without stating facts. That's the point I'm trying to make here, right? If you are going to be, and this is not only just about being negative as well, it's about being positive. Get your facts right. In terms of anything. If you are going to be a creator who's going to be basically like a critic about a game or anything else, right? You have to be fair on your points. I saw somebody post a comment that they made afterwards saying that they didn't have time and they wish they had more time in their script writing and stuff like that. Then take time. It doesn't have to come out right now. Genshin's a game that's not going anywhere. It's a popular game. You just did it right now because you felt it was the best opportunity going into SNES. The hype is at its peak. You may as well take advantage of people being positive, get a hit piece out, and make a couple of views happen. That's just my personal opinion. I personally perceive that that's how it is. Because, again, like I said at the start, I would like to give them the benefit of the doubt. But can I? It's a bit difficult to say. It's a bit difficult to say, in all honesty. Now, I will say this as well, right? When it comes to Genshin Impact, it has its flaws, right? It has its flaws. It has its problems, and it primarily stems from being a gacha game more than anything else, right? Had this been in general, even as a live service game, I think this is a problem. If it had been its own game, well, one, I don't think we would have ever gotten it in the first place, right? It's just not possible that this game would have survived all these years of development to get to a point where it would have released as a standalone game. I'm sorry to say, some people have to be a little bit realistic about that. I think you can be fair in saying, like, I wish it was a normal game, but also acknowledge that it probably would never have come out if it was a normal game, unfortunately, right? I think when we talk about Genshin, right, it is a flawed game. It is an absolutely flawed game, but the moments you get from it, right, the unbelievable world environment that we get, right, the OST, the characters as well. Let's not get it twisted. Genshin's a great game. It's not a perfect game. It's a great game. And everybody has the right to be critical about it. I'm going to say that again. Everybody has the right to be critical about it. I'm critical about it as well. But don't be disingenuous about it. And I think that's the most important thing I'm coming out of this video with this point, is don't be disingenuous about any sort of media, be it Genshin, be it Honkai Star Rail, be it Digimon, be it Pokemon, be it Palworld, any game. Be honest and fair about it. That's all I'm gonna say. Let me know what you guys think. As I said, I feel like and if you feel that I haven't answered the question that this thumbnail is stating, yes, they are wrong about the state of Genshin Impact. That's the only way to say it, to be honest. They are wrong. It's not bad. It's getting better. The game's consistently been getting better. You know, we say Genshin will never get any better. It has gotten better, though. You know, they are adding things that are going to make it better. The people... Oh, God, I'm gonna die. That's fine. Oh, I didn't die. Wow, how did I not die? I guess moon gravity helps. Oh, yeah, I guess moon gravity helps. Genshin is getting better. We've seen it with it's slower now, but we had seen it like in Natlan, especially, where the quality of life was consistent. You know, we're getting more stuff, and even still, you know, with a new region, I'm pretty sure we're going to be getting even more development in terms of quality of life updates as well. So I'm not too worried on that front, right? And in terms of the characters, in terms of weird and bad, I think that's just your perception, or and I'm speaking to the creator here more than anything else. I think that's just your perception more than anything else. And I feel like Genshin is just fine the way it is. Could they do a little bit better with their characters? Maybe, right? But I think you have to give it time as well, right? We're still not at the end of the story. We're, I think, a long way out from the end of the story. We still have the entirety of Snezhnaya to go. Kanrea is there. There's potential tidbits about even more happening potentially, right? Especially since we've been on the moon and the Temple of Space. There's been a higher likelihood of us maybe going somewhere else as well. Jesus, that was a hard sentence to get out. But yeah, you guys can let me know what you think as well in the comments. Are they right? Are they wrong about Genshin? Y'all let me know in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. I didn't want this to be like a long video, and I definitely didn't want to react to them. I was thinking about it, but I was like, I don't want to do it. I want to make a video just solely talking about whether they're right or wrong. And in my opinion, they're wrong. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have yourselves a good one. Take it easy, everybody. Bye-bye.